In the vast, sun-scorched plains of Montana, where the sky stretched endlessly like a blue canvas painted by the gods themselves, lived Elias Thorne, a lonely rancher whose days blurred into nights under the weight of solitude. At 52, Elias had buried his dreams along with his late wife, Martha, who had succumbed to a relentless fever a decade ago, leaving him to tend to their sprawling ranch alone. The cattle lowed in the distance, the wind whispered secrets through the tall grass, and the old wooden cabin creaked like an aging companion, but nothing filled the void in his heart. Elias was a man of few words, his face etched with lines from years of hard labor, his hands calloused from wrangling steers and mending fences. He rose with the dawn, worked until dusk, and retired to a bed that felt too empty, his only company the flickering light of a lantern and the occasional howl of coyotes. Little did he know that fate, in its twisted humor, was about to introduce him to a force of nature that would upend his quiet existence forever. It started on a sweltering afternoon when Elias rode out to check on a stray calf reported missing by his neighbor. The air was thick with the scent of wildflowers and dust, and as he crested a hill overlooking a forgotten valley, he spotted something anomalous, a figure moving through the underbrush, tall and imposing, unlike any wanderer he'd seen before. Curiosity piqued, he spurred his horse forward, only to pull up short when the figure turned. She was enormous, easily 7 feet tall, her frame broad and muscular, clad in tattered remnants of what might have once been a homespun dress, now frayed and dirt-streaked. Her hair was a wild cascade of raven black, her eyes piercing green like emeralds forged in fire, and her skin bore the marks of a life lived on the edge, scars from battles unknown. She called herself Widow Vance, though whether widow referred to her marital status or something more sinister, Elias couldn't yet tell. "What brings a giant like you to these parts?" he asked, his voice steady despite the tremor in his chest. She smiled, a predatory grin that revealed teeth too sharp for comfort, and replied in a voice like thunder rolling over the hills, "I've been wandering, rancher. Lost my way after circumstances." Elias, ever the gentleman shaped by frontier hospitality, offered her water from his canteen and a place to rest at his cabin. She accepted with a nod, her massive hand engulfing his as they shook on it. As they rode back, her strides matching his horse's trot, Elias learned fragments of her story. She hailed from the rugged peaks of the Rockies, where she'd lived with a husband who'd met an untimely end in a mining accident, or so she claimed. But there was an aura about her, a primal energy that made the animals skittish and the birds fall silent. That night, as Elias prepared a simple meal of beans and cornbread by the fire, Widow Vance sat across from him, her presence filling the room like a storm cloud. She ate voraciously, her appetite matching her size, and as the flames danced in her eyes, she leaned forward, her voice dropping to a husky whisper. "It's been so long since I've felt the touch of a man," she said, her gaze locking onto his. Elias choked on his coffee, his cheeks flushing beneath his weathered tan. "Ma'am, I ain't one for impropriety," he stammered, but she laughed, a sound that echoed through the cabin. "Call me Jew Vance, and don't play coy, rancher. I need to make love, don't move." The words hung in the air like a challenge, her hand reaching out to pin his arm to the table with effortless strength. Elias's heart pounded, a mix of fear and forbidden excitement coursing through him. He was no stranger to the loneliness that gnawed at a man's soul, but this woman, this giant widow, was a tempest he hadn't anticipated. As the night deepened, she drew him into her world, her stories weaving tales of survival in the wilderness, of outrunning wolves and taming rivers, her body a map of adventures that made his ranch life seem tame. Yet, beneath the allure, Elias sensed something off. Her movements were too fluid, too predatory, and when she touched him, her skin was unnaturally warm, as if fueled by an inner fire. He resisted at first, his mind flashing to Martha's gentle memory, but Widow Vance's persistence was intoxicating. "Don't move," she murmured again, her lips brushing his ear, and in that moment, he surrendered to the whirlwind. Their union was fierce, a clash of worlds where his quiet strength met her overwhelming passion, the cabin shaking with the intensity of it all. But as dawn broke, Elias awoke to find her gone, a note scrawled on the table, "Thank you for the night, rancher. I'll return." Days turned to weeks, and Widow Vance became a fixture in his life, appearing at dusk like a shadow, her visits charged with the same electric hunger. She helped with the chores, her giant frame making light work of heavy lifting, but Elias noticed peculiarities: cattle going missing, their carcasses found drained of blood, paw prints too large for any known beast. Whispers from town reached him, tales of a giant widow haunting the plains, a creature born of legend, perhaps a skinwalker or a cursed soul. Doubt crept in, but her pull was magnetic. One evening, as they lay entwined under the stars, she confessed, "My husband didn't die in an accident. I consumed him, in my need." Elias froze, her words chilling him to the bone. "What are you?" he demanded, pulling away. Her eyes gleamed with otherworldly light. "I'm what the natives call the Tall One, a widow of the wilds, cursed to wander and feed on loneliness." Panic surged, but Elias, ever the resourceful rancher, had prepared. In the weeks of her absences, he delved into old lore books borrowed from the town library, piecing together rituals to bind such entities. As she lunged, repeating her mantra, "I need to make love, don't move," he sprang into action, shocking her with a hidden cattle prod modified with silver wiring, a ward against the supernatural. She howled, her form shifting momentarily to reveal arachnid limbs, confirming his suspicions. She was no mere woman, but a giant black widow spirit, manifesting as a seductive giant to lure prey. Elias chanted the incantation he'd memorized, binding her essence to a talisman carved from sacred wood, her roars echoing across the plains as she shrank, her power contained. The ranch returned to peace, but Elias was forever changed, his loneliness replaced by a wary vigilance. Word spread of his heroic deed, shocking all who heard, the lonely rancher who tamed the giant widow. And so, dear viewers, if this tale of passion, peril, and shocking revelation gripped you from start to finish, imagine what other epic stories await on this channel. Hit that subscribe button now, turn on notifications, and join our community of thrill seekers. Don't miss out on the next heart-pounding adventure that could change how you see the world forever.